so much, Abida. Welcome, everyone. Before we start, I just want to give a huge shout out to Abida for making all of this happen today. She is the founder of Creator Suite. And if you're not already following them on social media, please do so. Instagram at the Creator Suite and on Twitter, Creator Suite. We really appreciate everyone tuning in today. I'm so excited to have some badass women in the industry in marketing to share their knowledge and basically drop some gems. So all of you, I hope you're ready to take some notes. Today's panel is called Music Marketing During the Pandemic. And as many of you know, we're all currently confined to our homes to a certain degree. And it's really had an effect on how a lot of us are interacting. And when it comes to marketing strategies and how you promote yourself, your music, and your services, a lot of it has had to pivot and focus online. So I am very excited to welcome to this panel, firstly, Jaclyn Soto, who is a Senior Director of Marketing at Def Jam, or I should say Jackie, sorry. Jackie was born and raised in New York and has been working across both coasts with artists and artist management to develop comprehensive marketing plans for various projects and launches. She is currently at Def Jam, but has also worked at Island Def Jam, Motown Gospel, and Rock Nation. So welcome today, Jackie. We're so excited to have you.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Next up, we also have Jaide Lewis. Jaide Lewis is in urban digital marketing at Atlantic Records. She was born and raised in Brooklyn, another New York local, and has been working in music for 8 years. The company she's worked at includes BET Networks, Sony Music Entertainment, and Tidal. And right now, she's working at Atlantic, where she specializes in digital marketing. Welcome, Jaide.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Myself, I forgot to introduce everyone myself. My name is Karen. I am the Associate Director of College Marketing at Sony Music. I was born in the Philippines, raised in Australia, and I now call New York City home. Shout out to everybody back home in Australia if you're up. I've been working in music for more than 10 years now across marketing, digital marketing, and artist management. And I am so excited today to dig into all of this because, you know, it's been a very huge topic of discussion that I've had with a number of artist friends, just how marketing has really had to change in this time. So just before we get into the nitty gritty and detail of everything, I wanted to throw to both Jackie and Jaide to just give an overview on what you both do and specialize in. Everybody here is likely on the independent side, having to do everything themselves when it comes to marketing themselves. So I think it'd definitely be worth them hearing what you both do in your day to day and what your past experience holds. I'll throw to Jackie first.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I am currently at Def Jam Recordings as a Senior Director of Marketing. I've been in the industry now for 11 years. I spent a majority of my time at Def Jam, so it's been a while. But yeah, my role there is basically I see projects from beginning to end. After the music is completed, we take the artist's vision and conceptualize it and execute it so the consumer can buy into the sound and lifestyle and the artist. So all of that pretty much entails me communicating, working directly with artists and management and communicating these things back to my company. And pretty much my focus is developing the marketing plans, the calendars, the rollout strategy, campaigns, and events to support the project. And alongside that is me working day to day with our digital teams, our PR teams, radio. It's a international team. It's a whole crew of people that we gather together and we help lead to help bring the artist's vision to life. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, Jackie. And I'll throw to Jaide to give us her little intro.
Hi, everyone. Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Jade. I'm a senior manager at Atlantic Records, specializing in urban digital marketing. So, what I do for the artists, especially now that we're in quarantine, is nonstop, right? So, I develop plans in the digital space to boost their awareness, hook them into new audiences, as Jackie mentioned. So, I work with the product managers, PR, artist development, A&R. So, I work with all those teams just to make sure that I'm researching their current audience and trying to branch them out into new ones in the digital space.
Amazing. Thank you both. So, as the topic of this panel is, it's really honing in on how marketing strategies have had to change now that everybody is on home and all those eyeballs are now on their devices or within the online space. Within your respective roles and in the marketing and artists, producers, and DJs that you've been working with, how have your marketing strategies, adapted and changed during this time? I think, Jade, I might start with you, especially, kind of talking about the digital space. But I'd love for you to kind of just give us, a bit of a down low on that.
So, as I mentioned, quarantine it's very unfamiliar for the artists. Most of their lives are on the road, doing shows, interacting with their fans. So, I feel like it's very hard for them. So, what I've been doing is become very creative in how I market these artists. So, I told them this is a time, if you're different, be different. If you like to draw, you never know. Hypebeast might want to do something with Hypebeast art, and maybe you could do an interactive paint and sip with your fans. Um, Same, I'm having conversations with Backwoods. They want to do certain things with artists. If you like cannabis, hey, maybe you do a how to roll tutorial. So anything that makes you unique and different, I feel like this is an opportunity in a digital space for artists to get to know their audience on a more personal level. Now it's more than the music. Now you can actually hone in on your digital audience and say, well, we have things in common, whether it's fashion, cannabis, art, different things like that. So it's a brand and a niche for everything. And I think now is the time where they can definitely dig into that. So
I,
being creative, thinking outside the box.
I love that. So in so many ways, it's showing other sides of yourself creatively and expressing that while we are in this different sort of space. Thanks, Jade. Jackie, I mean, over to you. What have you been doing and seeing on your side?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Jay said, it's definitely a new space for artists. I mean, we're all very engaged on our social. Our artists are they try to be very engaged on their socials as much as they can. So it was a huge learning curve for a lot of artists to really understand and learn what tools are available to them on these different platforms. And I think a lot of encouraging them to create additional content and to be engaged is educating them on all these tools that they have available. So I think that was really important. It was a great opportunity for these artists to really sit down and dig into these things. So it was a huge advantage for us because these are a lot of tools that we constantly push and encourage them to engage with to help be involved more with their fans. So I think this was a great opportunity to educate them. I think the other thing too was encouraging them to create more content. And to Jay's point was like really digging into your creative side. A lot of times these artists are so busy, all you see is studio, stage, studio, stage. So it's just like, a lot of these artists have families. They have side interests that, they don't really showcase. So I think this was another opportunity to really go into these artists' homes and really see more of the other side of them. And I think it was another opportunity for these artists to really connect and relate more to their fan base. It's like, you hear them rap about certain things, but there's this whole other side that we really don't see. And I think this was the opportunity for them to really expose that side, and it allowed them to make a more personal connection with their fans base. So, I mean, we've been really busy, and a lot of this is really pushing and encouraging and really challenging our artists to tap into the other creative side outside of just creating music. So it's been a fun challenge. And a lot of people may have thought like, we're laid back and we're chilling and enjoying this time off, but it's been a lot of work, and we've been really, really busy.
Yes, I co-sign that we've been very busy during this time. I mean, that's a great segue into my next question, and I might stay with you on this one, Jackie. So, when we look at the audience that's tuning in today, they're independents. They're the ones running their own social media. They don't have an entire team behind them, advising them and educating them. So, when it comes to any of these artists, DJs, producers trying to build their personal brand and following on social media, where should they start? Because it's almost like how long is a piece of string? So what should be maybe the first step for them?
I think is really understanding your brand and who you're marketing to. Understanding that will really help you and developing a plan and strategy to target this audience. And I honestly think a lot of the indie artists are a lot better at this because they have to hustle a lot more. They don't have a large team like you said. So I think a lot of these indie artists do have an understanding of who's following them, who's liking, who's commenting, who's sharing. But really digging into that audience and understanding what they want more of and what they're looking for out of you. I think that'll also help you develop your plan. Like, people are actually on my page because they're really interested in how I'm developing this or behind the scenes of this. And I think a lot of that information and that research will really help you with branding yourself because it'll really help you sculpt out what your messaging is going to be and who your target audience is, which I think is very, very important. I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed and we want to like get to the gold, and it's like you have to build a plan to get there. And in order to get there, so really dig in and do that research and understand who you are, what you're good at, and actually staying in your lane too. Because I think a lot of times is that we get distracted with trying to look at what everyone else is doing because we think we're doing the same thing. And a lot of times we tend to get all over the place, and it takes away from really focusing on who you are and what you're most comfortable with promoting and putting out there. So I think that's my advice as far as like the beginning steps of trying to brand yourself.
I love that. Thank you. I mean, if everybody, I hope you're taking notes. It's some really great advice here. Firstly, starting with understanding who you are and what you want to represent yourself as a brand, and also who you're trying to target, who you're trying to reach when it comes to your social media activity. Jaide, I mean, over to you. This is your world. This is where you live. What else could you add to that? Where should a lot of these independent artists and DJs and producers start?
So as Jackie said, research. In marketing and digital marketing, the most important aspect of it is research and understanding who your audience is, but also utilizing the tools all the time, not just when you have a single coming out, not just when you have a new album or EP, utilizing these digital tools, not just forgetting, like some people forget about TikTok unless they have a challenge, or some people forget about Triller. Like consistency is key when it comes to digital marketing because that's how the algorithms work. How consistent you are and how much you interact with your fans is how you boost your audience and your brand. So
Amazing.
be consistent and research.
Love it, love it. So I hope you guys got that down. Next, I mean, following on from that, and I feel like social media is probably, first and foremost, the most important part when it comes to the online space. Jaide, I'll throw this one to you to start. What platforms should people be on? Because there are so many, and there are so many that, I feel like are almost added on a monthly or basis. And it's like, is this a trend? Is this something that's going to continue? What platforms do you think everybody should be on, especially when it comes to the music space?
Honestly, this is the new normal. A lot of people are scared to address this, but it's the new normal for a while, as long as we can see. So I would say, besides just the regular Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, yes, create a YouTube account. Make sure that it's branded well. Live streaming is the new concerts, right? IG Live is something that everyone gravitates to, but if you look at other trends, such as Tory Lanez, he just did a whole YouTube concert. You know what I mean? And it got over, 2 million views. So I think this is the new normal, and this is how artists are going to connect with their fans. So yes, be on those viral platforms, but also pull them into other ones, pull them into new ones that you're seeing, because this is the time. And the artists are like Tory, he used the quarantine radio audience to pull them into an interactive concert. So you can do that also. You can take your IG lives and pull them into Twitch. You can take those audience and transfer them into other platforms. So I would say just make sure you're on all of them. Yes, there are new features rolling out. I know Twitter now has Twitter Voice, so use those, you know, to maybe connect with your fans as well. Twitter just rolled out a new feature. So just staying on top of the new features that are rolling out, because for right now, this is the new normal. So everyone's going to have new features over the next couple months.
Amazing. Thanks, Jade. And Jaclyn, did you have any other platforms or advice in terms of what people should be paying attention to or have a presence on?
One thing I think Jade pretty much covered everything, but I think was most important in what we've noticed, a shifting in the music world was we did see a decline in streams, but what we did see an increase in was music video consumption, well, video consumption. And I think that was another thing where we really challenged and push our artists to do is to create more video content. And YouTube has so much to offer, and a lot of artists came from YouTube. They came from the YouTube space, and I think that's really important, is to tap into YouTube and to understand the community tool and all these different tools where you can go live on YouTube, you can engage with a fan base on YouTube. I think building an audience there is very, very important, especially now that consumers are on YouTube 24/7. And I think the other thing too is they're consuming music through YouTube. You know, there's so I'm a huge advocate for YouTube. I always encourage everyone to utilize that platform. There's the opportunity to make money there, and there's also, I mean, even selling merch. Just so much to learn on YouTube. And what I love about YouTube is that they have courses on their platform to teach you how to use everything in that space. So that's definitely one outside of Twitter and IG and everything else is definitely YouTube, and figuring out new cool creative ways to continue to feed that platform. There's so much that you can do there, and so much content you can post there that the fans will eat up.
And one more thing, YouTube community, very, very, very important. It also boosts the algorithm so your audience can see your videos, and it can target similar audiences as well. And you can use it just as Facebook. You can post flyers if you're doing something on Instagram. You can post it on YouTube community. That's a way to interact with your audience in a similar way to Facebook. So definitely build the community.
I love that. And I mean, a fact that maybe not a lot of people know is YouTube is still the #1 platform for music discovery. So I love that we've had some time here to address the importance of being on that platform and having that consistent content released. Now, that's kind of a great segue to my next question. And I know we've mentioned a couple of examples prior to this, but to you both, what are some great marketing strategies that you've seen, you know, executed during this time, during the quarantine, that might have been creative in some way or unique or something that has never been done before? I'm happy for either of you to jump in because I'm sure you have a long list. This can be within your own personal work or something that you've observed from another artist or campaign.
I know I mentioned Tori's Quarantine Radio, but another one that I thought was amazing was Travis Scott. He knows his audience very well. The whole video game that he did and that virtual concert was amazing.
Fortnite.
So that's definitely tapping into your audience and understanding how they work and what they like. So that had like millions of impressions, and it was something that no one's ever seen anyone do before. So the Fortnite that Travis Scott did was amazing. It was genius.
Awesome. Thanks, Jade. Jackie, was there any on your side?
I loved what Erykah Badu did. I'm a huge fan of Erykah. The bedroom concert series was amazing. It happened early. Like, she immediately jumped on it, and I think it made it more comfortable, and it was a great example to show out other artists, like, this is what you can do. It may be, I'm sure there was a lot of complications on the back end as far as setting everything up and being conscious of everyone, you know, being spaced apart and things, but I thought it was really personal to really actually literally be in her bedroom. Another one which was huge and is still going is Versus. The IG Live Versus, I mean, that, and I'm constantly tuned in, but that the whole IG live wave was just, I mean, it's benefited so many people. And at that platform highlighting some of the legends in the industry, I think that it was amazing. And it was just another testament of how powerful IG live can be, and just the opportunity to connect to so many people so easily. That was another huge win for IG and for all the artists who have participated in it. Those were additionals that really stood out to me and really made some noise in the music world.
I see
Awesome.
people mentioning D Nice. Yes,
Yeah,
D
go ahead.
Did nice.
Nice started it off. He gave us
Did,
positive vibes and energy in a time when everyone was unsure. He probably started his DJ sets 2 months ago, and he made everyone feel great and amazing. And he just brought a vibe, just standing in his living room playing records that everyone would love to hear. So I think D Nice definitely deserves some flowers for that also.
yes.
Love that. Yeah. And I mean, some takeaways from that and kind of applying it within the independent music world is to think about collaborating, right? Within these live streams. And that probably, I was going to ask this a little later, but what are some of your, I don't know, what's the right way to put this, avenues, or what are some things that everybody tuning in right now could consider when it comes to live streams? We're in a world where live streaming is the go. There's a revenue stream that can be made from this world, whether you're an independent artist or a major label artist. We're seeing DJ sets where we're seeing the verses, which is insane. Alicia Keys and John Legend was incredible. I was tuned into that for hours. But like, what could you mention to everyone here when it comes to live streams? What should they be thinking about? Should they be collaborating? What platforms should they consider doing that on? What are your thoughts there?
So I definitely think IG is great. It has become very oversaturated because I feel like everyone goes to IG. So if you are going to do something, make sure you pick a certain day of the week so your fans are looking forward to it. Like Guap Dad 4000 has Rona Raps, and he collaborates with different artists on Rona Raps, and he integrates them and he puts it on IG TV. So maybe you do an IG TV series every Thursday, and your fans will start looking forward to that. Maybe even Twitch, just utilizing that platform as well because it gets a lot of viewers. There's a couple panels that I saw on Twitch that pulled in over 100K views while I was watching it. So if you lock in a certain day that your fans could look forward to, I think that you can build an audience and you could kind of make IGTV a show, because I do think that's the future of IGTV, is branching off into different series. They didn't do it yet, but I'm pretty sure they will.
It'll definitely lead that way. I mean, Jackie, I'm going to throw to you, and I know that you've likely got some people in here that have tuned in to your IG sessions, but you started something early on, I think just as the pandemic was starting, on your Instagram Live. You want to tell everyone about that and what that's been like for you?
Yeah. I played around with IG live before the pandemic, and I wasn't too consistent with it because unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I got caught up in a project, and it took me away from socials, and I was traveling a lot. But when the pandemic happened, I got back to New York and I settled in, and yeah, I kind of had time on my hands, but I tried to make time. It was a different space for me. I live alone, so I didn't have the everyday interactions with people and things. So I hopped on IG Live and opened up my platform to local artists, and it became a thing. I was doing a few times. I think I was doing 2 to 3 times a week, and I realized I was on for 3 to 4 hours at a time, because it was back to back artists performing, and I realized, like, this is really a thing. And my friends and my coworkers were encouraging me to continue it. It was a bit overwhelming at first, and then I've decided to make it once a week, and this goes back to consistency and having, like Jay said, a set date where these artists know when to tap in, and to prepare to be on there. At that time, everyone was on IG Live, so yeah, I created this whole IG Instagram talent show where I built a little community of artists and from literally around the world, not just through the United States, but people at other parts of the world were tapping in and just sharing their talent. And it became a thing of artists supporting each other, connecting with each other. I've noticed a lot of these artists now, even in the chat, on the IG Live, people interacting, giving advice, feedback, and I created a really positive community of artists, creators, and even industry people who were tapping in weekly to check in to see what's going on. I know a lot of people have reached out directly to these artists, so it's become a thing, and I've only continued it because I realized people were getting something out of it, and it's fun. And I stopped after the protesting and stuff happened. I took a little break, and of course, my inbox was going off as far as when are you coming back. So I plan on bringing it back because it's fun, and it's a great way for people to connect and meet each other and support each other. And I love it. I try to make time. I don't have time, but I'm trying to still make time for it. But yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Jackie, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. One thing that Jackie touched on, if this is a time, if you had an artist from the UK that you would love to collaborate with, or Africa, or someone in South America, this is the time to collaborate with them, because the internet, as Jackie said, you could bring people around from all over the globe.
I love that. And when you think about it, even just here, I've been watching the chat since the Creator Suite event started. We've got people from everywhere tuning in, which, we probably wouldn't be doing something like this were we not in a pandemic. So there are definitely some opportunities there. And I love how you've highlighted the power of collaboration, engagement, and just, connecting with people everywhere. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. And guys, don't forget to tune in to Jackie's Instagram. I'm sure the next
Wednesday nights, 9 p.m.
I love it. Next, so kind of taking it back a step, and something that I'm always asked by producers on their side, their ultimate goal is looking for placement, right? But a lot of that, we live in a world where it's very digitally driven, especially now more than ever. What are some tactics or strategies that producers could adopt into their marketing strategy that could help them get noticed, that could put them on that artist's radar, or that manager's radar, or that potential collaborator's radar? What are some finite things that they could be doing? I'll open it to either of you on that one.
That's a great question.
Jay, you want to go?
Go ahead. Because that was a great question, so I'm really thinking about it.
Okay.
I think one thing too, this pandemic has made it a lot more easier and comfortable for people to interact in DMs. And I think a lot more producers and artists have been responding. I think people should continue to do that, literally DMing people and reaching out directly, doing your research to find out who's behind certain records or certain sounds and waves, and really tapping in with those people and connecting with them. And I'm sure their inboxes can get overwhelmed and flooded, but it doesn't hurt to have some type of consistency and trying to reach out and tap in and see who these people are connected to and who they're hanging around, and even reaching out to their friends, because they're all the same network, they're all communicating, they're all talking. I know I have conversations like, did you hear about this, or did you hear about this person in Dallas, or this person here? So I think it's really important just understanding who's on the back end and who's behind a lot of these artists and these sounds. Another thing too is a lot of these producers should be developing their own artists. Creating your own sounds and really and doing that with your own artists. I think that's really important too. It helps you perfect your craft, but it also it puts you in a new space for you to collaborate with other producers. You working with artists and interacting and networking and building that network, it will put you in new different spaces. So I always encourage networking, collaborating with other artists and building a network. They're working directly with other artists. And even if you have your own artists, I think it's a great opportunity to expand there. And then one more thing too is, again, back to YouTube, utilizing YouTube, posting snippets on YouTube. being strategic in your titling of your beats and things that you're posting on YouTube. Drake sound, you know, these different waves and sounds that are going, this trap and all these things, like utilizing those titles in your YouTube titling is really important because that's what people are searching for. All these new sounds, make sure you're strategically titling your YouTube videos, and even if it's something that you feel would be great for a Meg The Stallion or for YG or for Two Chains, like putting that in your titling, I think is also really important too because you're targeting a certain audience, and you'd be surprised the type of people you attract and the type of artists you connect with. And I think a lot of local artists have just as big as a following as a lot of these signed mainstream artists, and sometimes even bigger than some of our mainstream artists. So even tapping into those artists and connecting with those artists, I think those those are probably the easier spaces to get into first before you try to go after the Drakes and the Big Seans and everything. But yeah, that's my advice on that.
Thanks. A lot of gems there. Jade, what are your thoughts?
I think Jackie pretty much said it all. One thing that I want to emphasize is yes, be strategic when you're titling your YouTube videos because right now they are locked in. All the artists in the studio, they probably have about 3 albums worth of music. So they are on YouTube looking for beats. They're on SoundCloud looking for beats. Please don't forget about SoundCloud. So utilizing those platforms and being strategic on how you label your beats, they might say, okay, NBA Youngboy might stumble upon one of your beats because it says Youngboy type beat. You know what I mean? So just, I know it's hard and don't be discouraged. Like I know Jackie mentioned DMs. Some of them are busy and they can't answer DMs. So just keep being consistent with what you're doing. You know what I mean? Don't ever get discouraged because someone's not answering you right away. Be creative. I've seen a couple of producers once a week, they'll go outside on their rooftop or in the park and they'll just do live beats. You know, like do something creative. You could tag different artists that you might want to work with. Also, don't be afraid to take that rising artist in your city or that you have a great connection with and build with them because that's how Future and Esco became one. That's how 40 and Drake became one. So if you help build a sound with an artist and you guys build each other up, then I think that'd be great. It'll be a great look for the producer as well.
I think the other thing too is outside of titling is the tags that you use on YouTube and the hashtags. I think that's another thing too that'll help you with in reference to search your videos populating. Another thing too that Jade mentioned was being creative in how you are presenting your beats. Like she said, someone going on the rooftop. I think that alone goes back to content and being creative and how you are creating your content and presenting it. I think that's definitely an eye catcher right there. You know, finding a dope scene or even just different backgrounds or something that may relate to the beat. I think that will help. That will draw someone's attention for sure.
Don't be afraid, guys. Make a Rona beat series. You know, like someone's gonna tune in and they're gonna start sharing with their friends and everyone's gonna put it on their story and support. So
I see some people said it doesn't work, but I think right now we've spent so much time on the internet. You know, I think another thing too, the A&Rs are not traveling. They don't have the ability to travel into different marketplaces. They are utilizing online more than ever. Producers are, artists are, because they don't have the same access that we had when everything was open. So I wouldn't feel discouraged. I think this is really, really important now to utilize everything you can online and really educate yourself on all these platforms and how to tap in. See who's really do your research and check out who else is standing out, who else has gotten a recognition or connected, and kind of understand and see what they're doing and who they connected with. I think that's really important, and it goes back to doing research. I think that a lot of times we give up so easily because we're overwhelmed because there's millions of other people doing it. But then when you listen to people's stories and you hear the simplest way that they've made that connection or just networked with one person that took it to a third and fourth step, you be really surprised.
yes, please don't get discouraged. I know it is a little tougher for the producers rather than the artists right now because you cannot physically be around the artists and touch them and be in the studio. So I know it is challenging, but please be consistent and don't be discouraged. You know, Drake didn't become Drake overnight. He always credits 40. So if you really do feel like you have synergy with an artist, build during this time. Keep building during this time, and know you guys need that one moment to break.
How do you, I know this kind of touches into sometimes where there may be copyright issues, but what are your thoughts on producers and DJs remixing tracks that might be popping or anything like that? I mean, I've seen that work and I've seen it not work, but what are your thoughts?
If it's done tastefully, I think it always works. It depends on how you flip the record and you remix it. Just don't go remixing all of the hottest tracks right now because they're hot. Be very strategic on how you flip these records and put your own twist on it.
I think another thing too, back to just collaborating, which I think is really important. I know what we do with our artists is we do create depending on the artist and the sound, we create different versions of that song. You know, we collaborate with house beat DJs and different types of sounds and just to tap into different marketplaces. You go into clubs and then you hear this like techno beat to a record. You're like, oh damn, this sounds good. Like, or you in the elevator, you're like, wait a minute, I know this song. So I think that's really important. And sometimes it doesn't. It's really just looking to see what other artists and listening to their music and engaging there and seeing like, you know what, I can add a dope spin to this with my sound to make it something different. And this goes back to just being creative and collaborating and finding how you can put your special touch on something, because then you are bringing this artist into your space and vice versa. That's a whole nother way of you expanding your work and into a different space. So I always encourage artists to be creative and put their special touch to music. The artist may not like it, but your fans may like it. And I think and finding those artists that would actually really appreciate it. You want someone that, if you do spend the time to really work on something, that they're going to support you, they're going to post it, you know, they're going to find ways that maybe you can create some content together. I think that's really important. So I'm a huge advocate of producers and DJs adding their own special spin to things. Because I also think too that playlisting is huge now, and even on back to YouTube, YouTube has playlisting now. And we don't want to forget about SoundCloud, but you know, every platform now has playlists. And I think creating a different sound to a certain song can move this record into a different space, which I think is also important. So a lot of these artists, for these artists out there, you should be collaborating with DJs to add a special spin or a different sound to your music to put into a different space. You'd be surprised how many new people you bring in. And yeah.
I agree. I'm currently working at, like, we have a rising R&B artist, and there's an app called Voisey. So anyone who likes to do acoustics and freestyle and different things like that, we did a challenge, and her PM actually wants to use the winner, her favorite version, and do a remix together. So this is a rising artist, Voisey. I'll type it in there for you guys. But you never know. The PM and the artist might like it so much that you will become, you know, officially on that track with the person. So definitely tap into those apps. Like Rap Chat is another one where rappers can actually freestyle and join raps. We did it for Jack Harlow. So just, you know, doing things like that. And these artists are watching them and they're paying attention and they're seeing who's flipping their records. So definitely Voisey, Rap Chat, those are great platforms.
Love it. Some really, really great advice there. Thank you both so much for that. I wanted to kind of pivot to another platform or platforms that in this pandemic, they've really seen a rise. So TikTok and Triller. You know, they went from being just challenge platforms to now when you go in there, there's all sorts of content in there. And it's been really interesting to see the creativity that's come during this pandemic. And I mean, an example is the Bored in the House beat, which, you know, went from just being a simple TikTok track to blowing up and Tyga jumping on a remix. So how do you both feel about these platforms? And you know, in terms of advice to everyone tuning in, what could they be thinking about? What could they be doing? What content could they be considering in order to lift their profile?
So I do agree with you. TikTok has grown into a content sharing platform. It's no longer just music. I think Triller still leans heavily towards music, but when it comes to TikTok, I've seen, you know, Cranium, I wanted to integrate a comedian who did like dancehall songs you should know, or dancehall dances from the 90s into the 2000s. And I thought that was dope to incorporate, and it's content and it's different. It's not just the artist, you know, saying follow this challenge. Also tapping into the beauty influencers on TikTok. If you think a track is dope, feeding it to them. There's girls doing nail videos, hair videos, makeup videos on TikTok. So just, you know, OT Genesis, I look good. Like we had a couple of makeup artists do content videos on TikTok. So just, it's no limits. Whether it's comedian content, dance content, makeup, beauty, tap into everything. The influencers definitely need music. So that'd be perfect.
Absolutely do. Jackie, did you have any thoughts to add to that on TikTok and Triller?
Yeah, I think that you guys pretty much summed up everything. Those two platforms are really, really important. You even have a lot of artists now who are creating records that would specifically fit into that space. And that's become a lot more common. But I definitely encourage not only to, we encourage our artists to be engaged and involved in those platforms. A lot of times, everyone just wants to jump in and just like, oh, I want my music here. But I think it's really important to really actually build a following there and build an audience and a fan base there, because it'll be very beneficial to when you need something that needs to be supported and you have a fan base already locked in there. But being engaged in a sense of, as Jade mentioned, just seeding things out, but also participating. There's a lot of fun trends, and I think TikTok and Triller has also exposed a whole different side to a lot of these artists and personalities that you've never seen. Like, oh wow, they actually do have a sense of humor, or he actually can dance. So it brings out a whole different side of personalities and artists, which I think is interesting and it's fun. And literally everyone's doing it. You even see there's grandmothers on there who are huge on the platform and doing their thing and participating in these dances and stuff. So I encourage people not to shy away from it. Understand what the platform can offer to you, and if it's not, no, everyone doesn't need to dance on it, but there's other ways to engage and create content there.
Also, one more thing, gaming. Yes, someone did mention that. I have a couple of artists that I integrate their songs into gaming, or maybe they do, you know, with Bleacher Report and House of Highlights, they have the live stream gaming with the athlete or celebrity. So yes, gaming too. People do play music, play games to music. So.
Awesome. Thank you both. I have one more question, but before I do that, I just wanted to let everybody tuning in know we're going to open up for Q&A soon. So if you've got your questions, please type them into the Q&A box, which is at the bottom right of your screens, and we'll start to run through those. My last question to you both before we throw to the Q&A. So you know, we're in a current climate where racial equality and the social justice movement is an extremely important issue we should all be addressing. And, you know, speaking to the artists of color that are tuned in, how do you think they should be really using this time to leverage their services and talent in this new climate? And I guess as an add-on for any allies out there that are in the creative field, what do you think they could be doing to do their part to help artists of color?
I think what's most important is being informed as far as like what's going on and really educating yourself. I think that's important because our hopes is that you're utilizing your platform to educate your following, to encourage them to be a positive impact, to be involved and be engaged. So I do recommend that our artists utilize their platform to spread awareness, to educate, and to be involved. You know, and luckily all of my artists on my end, they have been protesting, they have been posting ways that you can help locally and nationally. I think this type of information is really, really vital right now. And it's okay if you don't understand something. It's okay if you don't understand the process of voting and these things. And I think right now is the best time to understand these things, so that when you are posting this information, you're well informed. So if someone really does have an honest question that, you know, you could potentially answer it if you do have the time, but also just understanding, like, you know what, a lot of people are asking these types of questions. This is somewhere they can go, because this is somewhere I went to learn and understand what's going on and how I can be involved and informed. So I think that's really important. And also just the other thing too, we there's a lot going on, and I know a lot of these conversations, there's so much that needs to be talked about. I think it's really important to encourage these artists to make sure, I don't want to say stay in your lane, but just be comfortable with what you're talking about. You know, if and because we always expect the artists to express, we want they express themselves through their music, right? But stay in that space and do that. You know, if you're an artist and if you want to express yourself through your art, then do that. If you want to create a song, then create a song to express yourself. I think a lot of times, a lot of these artists may feel pressured that they have to go on their platform and vocalize and speak on these things. But I feel like there's other ways that they can creatively express how they feel through their own art and where they're comfortable in always expressing themselves. And I think that's such an easier way for their fans and their following to connect with them and understand them better. So yeah, I think that's also important.
Thanks, Jackie.
Just to add onto what Jackie said, I feel a personal responsibility, right, as being a woman of color in the music industry. So a lot of people don't know this was Black Music Month. So I partnered with Complex and took a few of my male artists, and they spoke about the importance of Black music in the culture. I also created a website where people can have voting tips, protesting tips on how to protest safely. So although I feel responsibility, I also know that some of my artists aren't in the right headspace. And first and foremost, it's okay not to be okay. It's a lot of heaviness on the internet. It's a lot of everything that, all the videos, everything, it becomes a lot. So it's fine not to be okay and to unplug and to take a break. As Jackie said, educate yourself. If someone doesn't know, it's fine. This isn't a time to argue. It's a time for everyone to be united. So the only responsibility we all have is just to stay educated. And if you need a break, take a mental break, because it's fine not to be okay. It's always good, especially in times like this, to unplug. If you feel obligated to make a track, to produce a certain beat, to speak up, do that. But also, if you feel like you need a second to step away from everything, take care of yourself and do that also.
Thank you both. Definitely appreciate that, sharing your thoughts. We're going to throw to the Q&A now. Just a reminder to everyone, if you have any questions you'd like us to ask the panelists, please type them into the Q&A box that is at the bottom of your screen. I've got one question here, and I'm sorry, I'm going to likely say this name wrong. Exixia? She has asked if there's any readings, printed resources, magazines that you recommend that everybody go check out in order to stay on top of this sort of information, especially, I guess, within the marketing space. Any thoughts there?
I have a few, actually.
Would we be able to send a list or something? Are you guys sending an email blast after this?
Yeah, Abida, if you're okay with that, we could type up a list definitely and share it with everyone, but there's definitely a lot out there.
Yeah, I have a few listed that I tend to check out and tap into. I know Ad Week is really a big one for me. eMarketer is another one. I know Forbes has a lot of really, really great write-ups.
Platform and Stream is another one that I'm subscribed to. It's a lot of digital music news. It's literally, they aggregate a lot of music from, a lot of news from the online web and put it into a daily email. So that's one that's a really great resource.
Make a note of that one.
Wow. It's a ton of sites I look at. Forbes every day. So.
Yeah, there's a nice long list. Do I read those every day? No, I don't. But when I do have the time,
I skim, because you never know what rolls out every day, and I'm in this space, so I have to stay on top of any new rollouts, on top of just meeting with Facebook and Instagram.
It's all about the headlines.
Yeah, I think the thing too. what I love that me and my counterparts and peers do is we share articles with each other. And I think that's usually how I kind of like would jump back onto one of these platforms that I haven't checked in a while. Is just reading an article. So we tend to like share different articles that stand out.
Yeah, and I guess,
But
I mean, even on top of that, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, they all have their own respective newswire news feeds on their website. So,
yeah,
and that's where the news will normally come first in terms of new things that they're announcing. I know that we all probably get them ahead of public release, but for everyone out there, that's probably a great way to stay on top of things.
there's a there's a lot of great podcasts too.
I
Yes.
listen to a lot of podcasts. Also, join Slack groups and group me's. A lot of the panels in the past that I've watched or I participated in have Slack channels now and group me's that people share different features and digital things that's going on.
Awesome. But yes, Abida, we will put together a list, and Abida will be blasting it out to everybody. So make sure you left your email with Abida so that she can make sure that gets to you. Another question we have here, this is more of within the marketing realm, from Tariona Brockman to all the panelists. How did you get your start in your marketing field, and what advice do you have for non-artists who are looking to work in music marketing within the industry?
Being that I'm from New York, the concrete jungle, I never sleep, so I hustled. I didn't have any connections. No one handed me anything. I interned. So when I was in college, I thought I wanted to be in radio. All my internships were in radio, from Sirius to Power 105 with DJ Clue. My senior year, I got introduced to marketing from BET, and I ended up staying there for 4 years as the marketing coordinator because I just loved how the messaging was so powerful, how I was able to reach so many people through marketing and messaging our shows out to people. So that's how I got started.
I she's a million percent right about being from New York and hustling. I tell you because I think New Yorkers are definitely cut from a different cloth. But I started in the music industry actually in Philadelphia. I went to Temple University. I started working for Cornerstone Promotion where I was doing street team work and doing events in the marketplace, working with artists and brands. When I started at that job, I didn't know nothing about Philadelphia, so I definitely had to learn the Philly market. I was able to network, meet a lot of people, venues, artists. I did that for a year, and then I was referred for a job with Universal Music Group as a college rep.
Shout out to the college rep programs.
Yes, I'm a huge advocate of the college rep program. I came from there. I started, the Universal Music Group college rep program. At that time, they laid off. Well, this is like what 2009. This is a little while ago. They laid off all the regionals in the different marketplaces. So at the time when I became a college rep, there was no one in the marketplace for me to report to. So I was given a lot more responsibility as a college rep at that time. I had to move artists around and find opportunities for them in the marketplace. So I was challenged a lot earlier in my career. And I did that for 3.5 years. And also on the side, I was doing radio too, which I enjoyed. I had a little radio show and I was a programming manager at the college radio station, which is really exciting. And that kind of opened me up to another world. But I actually ended up sticking with marketing. I was offered a job at Island Def Jam upon graduating. So yeah, I've been there since. I started as a regional. I covered the Midwest and East Coast working with artists. Under the Island Def Jam umbrella. When Island and Def Jam split, I transitioned to Def Jam. I continued as a regional for a little while, then I transitioned into a project manager. So yeah, I've stayed in marketing, and a lot of my background came from street team marketing and event marketing, and yeah.
I saw that someone commented no school, so you're lacking. You're not lacking.
Not at all.
Get in those rooms and start connecting with people. I started a group a couple of years ago for minorities in music and media because I had interns that were telling me that they didn't know what they wanted to do until they had an internship and they either hated it or loved it. And I didn't want it to be like that anymore. Oh, hold on. Ambulance just gone by, y'all.
Um,
Okay. So I think it's important to connect with people. I know Issa Rae had once said something that everyone's focused on the top. Network across, because those are the people that are going to be next to you when you reach the top. Okay. You guys are reaching for the people that are out of touch. Like, you want to connect with the executives. No, connect with the rising executives, connect with the coordinators, Those are the people that are actually on the ground.
And that's yeah, and that's important. Like me, no, I didn't get my job because I had a degree. I didn't get my job handed to me. I hustled in Philly. I was in Philly, to be very clear too. People think you have to be in New York or LA to get a job. I I was in Philadelphia in the streets meeting managers, music store owners, venue owners. I was building my relationships and building my database. You couldn't tell me nothing about Philly. I knew anything you needed, I knew where to go. I knew who to talk to. Anything you wanted to do, better believe I can get it done. Like it was nothing to me. And I did that by myself. I've never been to Philly in my life. But my first day going to Philadelphia was me moving into, well, at this time, I did my first year in college in New York. My second year, I was a transfer student. I knew nothing about Philly. And when I got that job at Cornerstone, I knew nothing about the Philadelphia market. They challenged me to go find 50 places in Philadelphia that I can promote music at. And I had to go out there and figure out Philadelphia. And from there, it took off. I put I put my job before school. I definitely did. I don't advise everyone to do that. But I did it. Like that, it was important to me.
As long as I had a job after college, I was good. I went to
like
Penn State, so I feel you with the Philly. It was a lot of Philly people being in Pennsylvania and being a native New Yorker.
Are disconnected.
It's very different. It's slower paced. The markets are different. The demographic is different.
Yep.
Yes, I went to Penn State, so I also went to school in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
it is foot to pavement.
Yeah, I didn't get my job having a I definitely didn't have nowhere near a 4.0 GPA. That's not how I got my job. I got my job because I had something to offer to the company, and they recognized that I was capable of being a part of a label and working directly with artists. So don't think I'm not saying disregard. Not, I think everyone should educate themselves, and whatever you want to pursue, become an expert at it. Yeah. You don't have to go to college to become an expert. Back to YouTube. You can go to YouTube college and learn whatever you want to learn. Trust and believe.
And as Jackie said, do not become a jack of all trades and a Jill of none. Like, focus on what you're great at and maximize in that space. Like, you have to hustle. Yes, we've gotten yeses to get where we are, but I'm pretty sure we both gotten more no's.
Plenty.
More doors.
Plenty.
No one ever wants to speak on all the doors that get closed, but guess what? The one that is meant for you will open. When you're locked out of your house, you don't sit and cry. You find another way in. But you gotta go through the window, call a family member with a key, call a locksmith. There's more than one way to the top. So when one door closes, what is meant for you will open.
And I think the other thing too is being a woman in the music industry is not easy. And you have to work a lot harder to prove yourself. So that's just another battle on top of everything else. So I'm a huge advocate, and this is why I really love this platform and what you guys put together, because it's really just bringing women together to support each other and to encourage each other and to continue to hustling. You are just as capable of doing the same job that a man can do, if not better. And being a New Yorker, we have that hustle, that aggression. You can't tell us nothing. Like, we're gonna get it done, and we know what we want. We know what we're capable of. And there's people in Dallas and anywhere else. I think anyone, be it from a major city, you know what it is to hustle. You know what it is to just kind of like be on some type of grind, living in a city. So, yeah, don't think that we're sitting here like, yeah, we got it easy. We went to college. No, college. My degree did not get me my job.
College didn't help me with anything. They didn't even help me get an internship. I really want to know. I helped myself. You guys want to know how I got into Power 105? I don't even tell y'all it was probably like 2009, 2010, and I was printing out my resume, looking up the address of the radio station, and mailing them out to all the New York radio stations, hoping somebody would see it. And they said, wow, we have never seen anyone do this before. I was determined. I was shocked when the power went up. I pulled me back, like, oh, we got your stuff in the mail. Yes, you did, because I'm not playing, and I'm in Pennsylvania, and I don't know what I have to do, but I'm gonna do it. So I make sure when I'm in New York in the summer, I have somewhere to go, and I'm connected, and I'm in the right spaces. So
I'm glad you said that, Jade. It's like don't let just because you're not where you want to be doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity or to have access. She said she just mailed letters out to these different stations, and I think that's important. Like, don't be discouraged because you're in Mississippi and you want to work in LA. Trust and believe there's a way to get access to that person, and there's LinkedIn, there's emails, there's phone numbers, there's a lot of these profiles now have phone numbers you can contact, and it may be a general line, but I mean, this is just another way to reach out to someone. So you just have to be creative in how you're trying to contact someone, especially if you're really passionate about something.
LinkedIn, the most important social media network. Don't let anybody fool you. Okay, I know I'm a little older, so yes, I did that in 2009, but now LinkedIn is everything. I probably haven't applied to a job in like 5 years because of LinkedIn. Like, people find you when you're good at what you do. They will find you on LinkedIn. I answer DMs on LinkedIn. I do informationals through LinkedIn. Like, if there are young girls who've gotten internships at Epic and Sony Music because I just forwarded their resume to HR, it takes 5 seconds. So, when you are on LinkedIn, just cut to the point. Hey, you got 10 minutes. I want to know more about what you do on a day-to-day basis. I want to connect with you really quickly. Yeah. So just use LinkedIn to connect with people. There's no limits, especially now with the internet. You can connect with anyone at any time.
And just to add to that, I mean, to the person asking about marketing experience, you're currently in a room full of artists, producers, DJs who would love to get some strategic advice or a plan put together. So when Jackie and Jade are saying, think outside the box, look at your community. Who could you work with? What are some quick wins that you could really get to, or things that you could do on the side that would just help you stand out a little more? But thank you both so much. We truly appreciate all the knowledge you literally dropped. I feel like this is a mic drop moment, and I love that we have a panel of all women here sharing their marketing knowledge to help everyone in the community. Jackie, Jade, appreciate you. Do you want to both just give yourselves a quick shout out in terms of your Instagram and Twitter handles, if you'd like, in case anybody wants to reach out or follow up with some questions?
Thank you for having me. This was amazing. Jaide Lewis on LinkedIn. Everything else on Instagram is _Jaide L. So I'll put it in the chat as well.
My IG is OMGJACKI3. My Twitter is Jaclyn JACLYN _SOTO. My LinkedIn is my first and last name, Jaclyn Soto. Yeah. And I want to say thank you, everyone. This was amazing. Jade, thank you for, it was great being on the panel with you. Karen, thank you so much for coordinating this and facilitating this, excuse me, in the creative suite. Thank you guys. And shout out to the whole chat room for being engaged, networking. I see everybody connecting in there. The energy was amazing in the chat group. So please, everyone that's chatting and connecting it, and make sure you guys follow up and connect with each other. This was amazing. I was nervous at first, but I appreciate this. This was dope. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Karen Kieves, and we totally appreciate you guys. And Avita, throwback to you.